So yesterday I spent a good amount of time explaining to everybody that we kind of needed to chill a little bit on all this talk of Donald Trump trying to pull off a coup, even though he is getting smacked down in every single one of his lawsuits. And the longer the count goes on, the bigger the margins of victory for Joe Biden. So the less likely it will be that even if one of his lawsuits is successful, that Trump would become president. So maybe everybody needs to relax. The media loves hyping this up. It's huge ratings for them. That's not a question. That's what's happening. But there is still a very real possibility. And in my statements yesterday, one thing I should have said but didn't was that we do need to keep our guard up, okay? We need to take a deep breath in, but we also do need to keep our guard up. So I don't want to give anybody the impression that you can just kick back and relax and everything's going to be fine. I want you to relax a bit, but stay on guard. And here's one of the ways, actually, that could happen where Donald Trump could steal the election. But before I explain it, I do want to say this is a long shot, okay? I mean, this is like the least likely possible scenario, but it is something everybody's been emailing me and asking. Stories are starting to come out on it. So let's talk about it. And that is the Electoral College grab by Donald Trump. Could he steal the Electoral College by having these Republican controlled legislatures in these swing states refuse to certify the elections, therefore granting them the ability to throw out all of the electors that had been picked, replace them with pro-Trump electors who are going to go to the Electoral College voting on December 14th and send Trump back to the White House? Whew. Now, there had been inklings of this, by the way, prior to the election. This was something that I guess had been discussed with the Trump administration or the Trump campaign. They had talked to Republican governors. That was a big power grab. Unfortunately, the states where they talked to Republican governors, I know Florida was one of them, they don't need to. They don't need to do that because he won Florida. He won Florida by a lot. He won Florida by so much that I don't think this is a swing state anymore. This is a red state, and it's going to stay a red state. So what do we do? How does this even work? That's where things get really complicated. And could this happen? Yes, it could. Is it likely to happen? No. And here is why. This is how it all works. First and foremost, you have to get the state legislature to not certify the results of the election. Then you have to get all of the courts to agree that the legislature should not certify the election. Then you have to get the governor and the legislature to agree to scrap all of the electors that you have selected. And then you have to get the governor and the legislature to pick all new Trump-loving electors that are going to go to the Electoral College and vote for Trump. And then you have to guarantee that none of them break and vote for Biden instead because Biden clearly won it. That's not a small task. And I love the thing that everybody keeps pointing out. We're talking about a group that accidentally booked a Four Seasons landscaping business instead of the Four Seasons Hotel. Like, all of this coup relies on idiots who can't even book the correct venue. Not to mention the fact we are starting to see some dissension among the ranks of Republicans. Republican Senator Ben Sasse came out yesterday and congratulated President-elect Joe Biden. As Ken Klippenstein pointed out, these Republicans who do start to break ranks, the media is going to fawn all over them as if they haven't been total jackasses for the last week. And he's right about that. He absolutely is. But the fact that they're starting to turn, the fact that we're starting to get some Republican governors congratulating Joe Biden is what makes this unlikely. The fact that even some Trump judges are not buying his lawsuits tells us that these courts are unlikely to certify their plan to steal the Electoral College. To put it another way, folks, I have no doubt in my mind that January 20th, 2021 at noon Eastern, we are going to be watching Joe Biden being sworn in as the 46th president of the United States. Could I be wrong? Sure. I could. Could the scenario I just described with the Electoral College actually happen? Yes, it could. Is it likely to happen? No, it's not. So is it worth sitting here for the next month while we wait for the Electoral College to vote? December 14th, by the way, is when that happens. It's not worth it. Again, keep the guard up. Pay attention to what's happening. But let's not sit here wetting ourselves for the next month thinking that Trump has definitely already stole this. There are too many moving parts for these incompetent morons to actually put together to be able to steal this thing. At least that's how I feel about it. Again, could be wrong. Could be wrong. I'm not ruling out them doing these things. But I also think it doesn't do us any good to sit here and fret about it when instead we could be focusing on what's happening, reporting on what's happening, looking at what's happening in a rational way, and then moving forward from there. So folks, again, let's calm it down a notch, but continue to keep our guard up and make sure this thing doesn't get stolen. That's the best we can do, and that's about all we can do at this moment.